Welcome to Space Socket. Kevin Samuels schools a 39-year-old woman on how men are built for her. Let's dive in.
You Pollyanna prissy girls, the ones around doing shit you ain't got no business doing. Hello, how are you?
Hi, Kevin.
How old are you?
I love watching your show. But I did have a question.
Go ahead.
So,
First off, how old are you?
oh, I'm 39.
All right, what do you got?
Okay, so you said that if you divorce or if you separate and you have kids, that it would go to the husband. I mean, it would go to the man. And in your past lives, you always talk about infrastructure and how the man can do things that the woman can't do, right?
Okay.
So if the kids are with the dad, where does that leave? I mean, I know that's not like, of course we want to keep the families together and the family unit, but a lot of our African American women are single and without their men. So if the kids were with the man, then where would that leave the women single, and where would that leave us? Like,
Well,
when
if
you
the,
talk,
if the children went with the father,
yes, sir,
what would it
where
leave
would
the
that
woman?
leave the man's role?
What would it leave the woman?
Well, also, like, if the husband, or excuse me, if the male is taking care of the kids, where does that leave our infrastructure and our
We gotta handle one
technology?
question at a time.
Yes,
See,
sir.
you ladies often do that. You often catastrophize. You ask one question and you build on top of it. What is the
No,
question?
I've been
The
waiting.
kid has to go one place.
Yes, sir. I've been waiting to ask you this
Okay,
though.
but if the kid, okay, then work through it. If the kid has to go one place, you ask me what happens if the kid goes to the father.
Yes, sir. What happens
Okay,
to
what happens
not
to whom?
kids,
What
sir,
happens
but
to whom? You have to
to the
call me, first,
world?
you have to call me sir. You call me.
Okay,
What happens to
okay.
the world? What
I'm
happens to the world?
military. I'm military
What
Fort
happens to the
Sill.
world? The world becomes
Sorry.
a better place. The world becomes a better place just like that. Why?
Yes, sir.
Why? Why? Because
Why?
men built the world.
That's what I'm saying. They're
Now,
building
oh,
the
listen,
world.
I need you to listen. Because men built the world. Men are builders. Men are planners. Men are not so in their emotions, so men get shit done. The first thing a father is going to do, once his kids, is going to make sure that there's someone to care for the child. If the father needs to go out and do A, B, and C, and he's not going to be looking to find somebody else to come in and necessarily, he's going to find a way to make it done himself. He's not going to try to bring in another woman because
Okay.
men understand. So you ask what happens to the women.
Well, no, you just answered my question. They get a nanny.
I don't say they get a nanny, they just get shit done. But what we end up doing generates more jobs.
Yep, I
It
agree.
builds more infrastructure.
Right. So I was just asking because you always talk about men and infrastructure, and we depend on the man to do things that women aren't able to do. So that's why I was like, okay, if the women give up the children, where does that leave the man and his priority to guide and direct the world?
The same place it always has been. When you, I mean, like it or not, if you're a father and you know you got a mouse to feed every day at home, your motivation is there.
Yes, sir.
I've been on both sides of this. The immediacy of a child in the house is different than when you're a weekend dad. But
Yep.
I think the bigger question is, so the implication is, if men are taking care of the kids, that means they're not doing their primary focus of building the infrastructure in the world.
Yeah, that's what I was
But
thinking,
the
but
kids, but
I
the
wanted you to
children have always
clarify.
been with the men. Prior to the 50s, the children were with the fathers. When a woman divorced before no fault divorce, women left. They were with okay, think about it. When we're in an agrarian economy, and if we're a farming family, all right, the farm is in the family name. If you left, the kids are going to stay with me because they're going to be here. The people, if you can work the farm, or if you're going to go to school,
You're right.
women were taking the kids where? To what infrastructure? They
Right.
weren't going to get farms. They weren't building anything. The best, they would have a job.
Can
And
I?
a job means a man, and a job that it was going to employ a woman means somebody had to make a business, and likely that was a man. I think the larger question is, what does that do with the women? The women would just be by themselves. But that's a choice, though, right?
Yes, it
So,
is.
if you were a child, where would it be better to be a child, with a woman or a man? Especially if you look at how males and females move in this world. Here's something I want you guys to do. I want you guys to all go to Amazon Prime Video, and I want you to go look for a video called The Island. Bear Grylls, The Island, Grylls. And the whole concept is he takes 16 adults and drops them on the island, and they have to survive for 6 weeks. Season 2, they drop 16 men on one island, 16 women on another island. They had some basic tools, enough water for a couple of days, and they had to get after it. And the funny thing is, when it got right down to it, men's instincts got to work. As soon as they got there, they talked for a minute. Next thing you know, they cut a path through, and they trekked on to get from one beach to another to have someplace to sit. You know what happened to the women? They sat on the beach, chit-chatted, talked at the surfboard. They went and
Didn't they contaminate the water?
Women went into the woods about 40 yards, still can see the one, and then they split up. And they said, you guys go off and find water in the beach home, and they got separated and lost, and this group was circling around trying to find each other for days, and this group goes out and tries to find this group. By this time, the men had already built the goddamn internet, and the women in week 5 were still trying to lead by committee. Because men automatically, when shit happens, we segregate ourselves. You know what those men did? They didn't know each other. 16 of the men did not know each other, but from the moment they got on the boat to the island, men decided, okay, what's your skill set? What's your skill set? What's your skill set? You're in general construction, you're in this, you're that. Okay. You lead, we follow. Now, there were several guys in there who were more educated, but who they followed? The guy who had construction experience and planning. And the guy who kept saying, let's go, well, let's stay here. We need to cut through it. But guess what? The men stayed on the path, following the leader. And guess what? By the time the sun is setting, the men that everybody decided to follow, even though some guys were reluctant, got to where they needed to get to. Because that's inherently in us. The women, go watch what they did. You guys go this way, you guys go this way. I don't know. I don't like how you're talking to me. I think we should go this way. Sun's dipping.
I have one more question, Kevin.
Where?
Okay, so is it okay to mention a verse from the Bible when Adam and Eve ate from the fig tree, and the Lord told Adam that he would have to work by the sweat of his brow, and Eve would have to long for him. So if he's out there working, where does that leave the woman?
What do you mean if he's out
Like
there?
her role? Are you saying the point of the matter is that you're telling women that?
Well, what was her, okay, are we talking about before the fall or after?
After.
Okay, after is our punishment. What was her original role?
To be her man's helpmeet.
Right. And Adam's original job was to do what?
To be the ruler of the world, right?
He was to administer the garden.
Okay.
And he had done that just fine.
Right.
God had only one rule, that tree over there, don't eat nothing over there. And the entire time Adam was there, he just got up and went to work, right?
Right. But he was lonely.
Huh?
He was lonely and longing for a soulmate.
Yeah, but he followed rules and he followed the structure.
Correct.
The one thing he was told not to do, he didn't do. And soon as lonely, longing Adam, who did not have a soulmate, a mate, God said, you know what? You're right. So instead of he took the rib out of Adam, put him to sleep. And what's the first thing he decided to do? This is nice. I like this eating stuff, and all my job is to do is walk around with you and tell the lions and zebras what to do. And everything is chill. We got all the food and everything.
I know.
We're in paradise, right? And I got nothing to do except be your co-pilot.
Right.
And there's only one rule. The one rule is I get to keep all this and experience no birth, no pain in childbirth, no nothing. And the only rule is You can have anything over here you want to eat, and
But respect that one thing.
but just don't go over there. What the first thing she did, like in your nature, went right on over there.
Trifling.
Well, but the point is, so you're asking what's a woman's role?
Right.
What's a woman's role? Well, in the fall, you're still our partner. You're still our helpmeet. And if you have to work and sweat and toil, you're going to be. If you have children, you're going to be there for the kids, but you can't be out here in the field because more often than not, women can't work to the levels men work to. Men tend to find a man doesn't need a woman if he doesn't have a job for her. She has a role.
Right.
So I don't understand why you keep asking what's a woman's role. I guess in the short, whatever her man needs.
Correct. I agree.
But to some people, their heads are probably exploding. The Bible and this and that. Some people actually believe that we're the only species on the planet that are not really supposed to be, that she's a sentient, autonomous being with, and what she does is her thing, what I do is my thing. Everybody else is grouped up and paired off, but we're just individuals, like Star Trek or some shit. No, ladies, that's not how it works. But appreciate it. Good back
Thank
and
you.
forth. But look at it. I'll be at least happy that they're still asking. Hello.
How are you?
I am well. How old are you?
I'm 57.
57. All right. What do you got for me? What are we talking about?
Well, I just want to know why you have such a negative opinion of black women.
Do you really want to start that way off with me?
Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm. Are you single or are you married?
I was married. I am
You're
single now.
You're divorced?
I am divorced.
How long you been divorced?
Since I was 40.
Any children?
I have 4 children, 7 grandchildren.
Any sons?
I have 2 sons, 2 daughters.
Are they married, your sons?
My sons are not married.
Mm-hmm. What am I?
Neither are my
Excuse
daughters.
me? What am I asking black women to do that your sons would disagree with?
I think my sons kind of look at me and they don't want to be married to black women.
I said,
They
what am I
actually want
asking
to be
black women
married
to
to
do that your sons would disagree with?
I'm not sure.
Your sons look at you and they don't want to be married to black women?
Yes.
Do they love you?
Yes.
Then why don't they want to be married to what looks like you?
I'm a very forceful woman.
Mm-hmm. So what was the initial question you asked me? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what about black women don't you like?
Probably the same things your son don't like about you.
That could be true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've had to work to be the person that I am. I had to climb the corporate ladder for my entire life.
What is okay?
I actually,
Okay, you work to be the
I
person
was
you
the
are.
breadwinner
Hold
of
on, man.
my
You know what?
family.
You don't talk to me. I just want to be clear. You work to be the person you are. How are you judging? What do you mean the person you are?
Well, I had to climb the corporate ladder, like I said. I put my husband through college and through school. I helped to build the entire family before he knew how to do it. I was forced to do it first.
And who filed for divorce?
I did,
Why?
because he wasn't the man that I needed.
After all that work and all that stuff you want credit for, you left it?
Yes.
Is he remarried?
No, he's not.
So your sons, was that
Because he was a
their
cheater.
father?
Yes.
And so you said all these nice things. You worked to build with your man and all these other things. You put him through. Then after that, you left him because he wasn't good enough?
No, because he was a cheater.
No, you said he wasn't the man he's supposed to be. Now you're saying the cheating thing. So
He
now your
cheated.
sons looked at you do this as well. And you said you had to work your way up the corporate ladder. Did you have to go to corporate America?
I thought so at the time.
No. Did you have to, or was it a choice?
I thought I had
No,
to,
no, ma'am.
and
Now,
so
have to is breathe, be black. You didn't have to do anything. It was a choice because coming out of high school, you couldn't get that job. You had to make yourself skilled to do that. So it's a choice, right?
yes, I chose to
You
be
chose
better
to
than
go
what I
to
saw
America.
growing
Is
up.
going to corporate America automatically prohibitive of having a healthy family life for non-black women?
Well, I wasn't
No, no,
taught
no,
that
no,
at
no,
that
no, no, no. I asked the
time.
question. Is going to corporate America automatically prohibitive for non-black women?
Not automatically,
Okay,
no.
thank you. So women can go to corporate America and do all the things you say and still maintain a family.
They can.
All right.
But
So,
it's at a
so,
cost.
so the struggle you saying you had to deal with was a choice. You didn't have to do it. You chose to do it. The man
Yeah,
you
in order
picked,
to
you
have
chose.
somebody that I
You
grew up
chose.
with.
No, ma'am. See what women like you come through the door and automatically assume that number one, people fall for those weak arguments. I don't. And I don't
I
hate
don't think
black
it's a
women,
weak
dislike black
argument.
women. Black women like yourself just don't like a mirror being held up to you with facts, data, and statistics. Your son
I
holds a mirror.
don't
Your
mind the
sons have
truth.
determined who their mate choice. Your sons would likely not disagree with anything. And they have not chosen their own reflection based upon the woman that raised them. Why have your sons rejected you?
I don't think that they have.
Well, then why aren't they married you?
I think that they have grown up with their own choice in life, and I would rather for them to
Okay,
have that.
yeah. So, and how old is your youngest son?
31.
So, if he's
No,
over 30,
30.
he's over 30. If they were
Mm-hmm.
non-black boys, better than 50% chance they'd be married by this time.
Maybe.
No, maybe. See, that's a fact. That's data. You can verify that yourself after we get off. Then why, if a woman who's as accomplished as you are and done the things you say you did, why do you think your sons are rejecting a woman that shares your reflection to marry?
That's their choice.
No, you're their mother.
Yeah, but that doesn't make me a perfect person just because I'm their
What,
mother. I'm still
no, man.
learning and
See,
growing as a person as
perfection is
well.
not the
Doesn't make
requirement.
me.
Perfection is not the requirement. But just like you said, how you came in this door was who you are. And it's distasteful.
That's your opinion.
It's also your son's opinion.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Shame, insults, guilt, they need to be right.
Yeah.
So, see, the funny thing is, women in our generation, whether you like it or not, I've gotten more black people married in the last year than all the people who keep telling you that you're right.
Well, that's awesome.
I know it is. That's why black women keep growing up. That's why women your age are saying, you know what, initially I didn't like you until I really realized that it wasn't that I didn't like you. I didn't like you telling me about myself with things I couldn't refute. Because, like
Yeah,
it or not, at our age, we're not supposed to be single.
that's a choice too, isn't it?
No, we're not supposed to be single. What generations have preceded us in our culture where people decide to be single in their 50s plus or their 40s plus?
I don't know many other generations that do it. Most people want
Okay,
to have a
so your corporate
family.
career, you've been single since 40. After retirement, I'm assuming you're doing decently financially.
I maintain.
You maintain. Will you be able to have what you need for retirement from 65 to 85 cash?
I think so, yes.
Well, if that's what you determine as a successful life, then kudos. But most
Yeah,
people think
but
life is
also
about people.
include in
Most
that.
people understand life is about people, family, and relationships.
Hmm.
Can you get one of those? A relationship.
I'm not ready
I
yet.
didn't ask you. I said, can you get one? Not if you're ready.
Yes.
You've been divorced 17 years. How long is it going to take you to be ready? Till you're 80?
until I'm ready.
Uh-huh.
If it's not
How
duty,
long is
yeah.
that? And what constitutes being ready if you've been divorced 17 years?
Opening myself up again to hurt and disappointment.
So that's the only thing a relationship is, hurt and disappointment.
That's what has been my experience thus far.
Okay, so your 4 children would love to know that they're hurt and disappointment.
No,
Oh,
not them.
damn. Ow! Checkmate.
A 39-year-old woman hearing how men are actually wired and what they look for can be uncomfortable. But it's necessary if you want real results. Because relationships aren't built on assumptions. They're built on understanding how the other person operates. This is where Kevin Samuels brings in that clarity, because many people approach dating from their own perspective without considering what men value. Men aren't just looking at attraction. They're looking at peace, respect, cooperation, and how a woman fits into their lifestyle long term. The disconnect usually happens when expectations are based on what someone wants rather than what the other side is actually responding to. And at 39, the margin for trial and error becomes smaller, so understanding these dynamics becomes even more important. The key point here is simple. If you want a certain type of man, you have to understand what that man is built to respond to. Not what sounds good, not what feels fair, but what actually works in practice.